Make a habit of empathy, to recognize ourselves in each other.
I don't believe in utopia.
Live in a world, whether it's the United States, a place like India, Egypt, Australia, a place like that. Everybody's different. And the problem is that there's people that stir it up, that make it worse for the good people that actually don't see color lines, they don't see religious lines, they don't see anything but human beings.
But what I see...
I'm wondering about that when you talk about human beings, like I'm actually working on a documentary about empathy, and I'm wondering what you think about that. How does empathy relate with all of this?
I have a lot of empathy for people. I feel bad when I see people that have unfortunate lives, okay? I'm one of those people where when I do my job, it's not about taking the bad guys to jail everywhere. It's about educating the people. It's about helping people that are down and out. I can't tell you how many times I've given my lunch to homeless people, how many times I've given rides to people that are stranded, how many times I've called services throughout the community to help people that I work with, not officers, but people in the community. And it just pains me to think that there are people out there that just associate one incident and blanket the whole law enforcement community and label us all killers. We're here to protect and serve, and sometimes serving isn't pretty, and neither is protecting, okay? But the thing that happened on the BART platform is a tragedy. We can't take it back. But what this has become is something that I can't understand, because it's turned into a racial thing when it's not that. Let's take race out of it. Let's couple up, throw it up, and see what we get.
I agree with like helping people and like helping them directly and giving them rides and being stranded. Where I disagree with like the police work is that putting people in jail and jailing like people who are nonviolent drug offenders, things like that, isn't really helping the community, because you're not helping that person. You're throwing them into a system where they're going to come out a lot worse.
The system maybe doesn't have the empathy in it.
Yeah.
Like a human being.
I have somebody that's high on crack and beats somebody up and robs them. Am I supposed to have empathy because they have a drug problem? Or am I supposed to be like, well, you know, who's the real victim in this? Is it the person that's addicted to drugs, or is the person that just got robbed and a black eye?
So it's like, how do you even decide who gets empathy and who doesn't? Or
it's not something you can just choose, like, okay, I'm only going to give the victim empathy. But I understand that drug use is a health problem, and we need more rehab for people. We need help. The drug war, we're losing it, okay?
What would that look like in our society if we can have a culture of empathy? You know, where like there was a way. Like, is there a way to hold everyone that way?
Empathy needs to be seen without color lines.
Can I ask you a
Plain
question?
and simple. Yes.
Why do you think people do drugs?
Why do people do drugs? I don't know.
I think it might be because the reality we live in now really sucks to be in.
But aren't you the person aren't you the person that you're the master of your own destiny?
Yeah,
right?
But I think.
So are people that grow up in poverty, are they destined for a life of poverty as an adult?
Not necessarily. No. I think they're more prone, if they grow up in those conditions, to end up like a lot of the people that live there.
Okay. So if you had a child and somebody gave them cocaine, how would you feel?
If I had a child and give them cocaine, I'd be bummed about it. I wouldn't, you know.
And would you be blaming that, or would you be blaming the drug
the
dealer?
reasons they did cocaine in the first place. I would talk to that person like, all right, why would you want to do this drug? I mean,
cyclic, dude. It goes. It's just like we always say, the domestic violence is a cycle. Okay, the husband boyfriend hits the wife, the child sees it, grows up thinking that that's okay, until somebody tells them that's not okay. That is not okay for someone to treat you or do that to you. So you got to figure out, you got to put a stop. You got to make that wheel flat somehow so that it doesn't keep rolling.
Well, I think
people are teaching each other so like that empathy is something maybe that's even taught, and like if it's
yes, it needs to be taught.
Yeah.
Do you think if there's enough like police work out there and like a lot more police, that the wheel would just stop, like you're saying?
I'm not saying more police officers are the answer, but in certain areas we definitely need more officers to help combat the problems that the citizens can't handle on their own.
I'm hearing a little bit of like support for citizens.
I definitely, believe me. The reason why we have such a high crime rate in the city that I work in is because our citizens are scared. Because if they speak up, these drug dealers, these gang members, these people that have made their lives absolutely miserable are going to threaten them, hurt them and basically get them to submit. These people that have lived in these communities for decades on years are basically beat down dogs. And you know who's beating them? Not the police, but the people that are selling drugs in the corner, soliciting the prostitution, committing the robberies. Those are the people that we need to go after. I'm sorry?
See, I think where I disagree with you is I think the police are trying to remedy a symptom. And I'm saying we should remedy the cause instead of the symptom of society's problems.
So how would you do that?
I believe in community. I think that the reason we have all these problems is because we have a lack of community. People do not care about each other. We live in a society of fear, like you were saying.
Hey, where's a better place in this world that you would rather live?
I think that was a complete distraction from what we were talking about, but I could talk to you about that after I'm done.
Wait. I apologize.
I think police have the ability to be empathetic. I've seen it, but the other day I was in the park, and I saw some homeless people in the park. They were not hurting anyone. They weren't fighting. They weren't yelling. They were simply laying on the ground. Police came over and told them to leave. And they threatened them with violence. If they did not leave, they would be violently acted upon. And I don't think that's empathy. I think that's an expression of a system that cannot deal with its causes of the problem and just deals with the sympathy, or not the sympathy, but
what can we do to
the
create more empathy, to create a culture of empathy?
I think we should go out and start helping the people that really need it the most, and that's the homeless. And I like homeless work too.
Said that they would like to have dialogue with the police. They're African American, saying that they
For several years, we pass out food to the homeless.
I do community reach out. Believe me, the community that I live in is different than the community that I work in, okay? I have dialogue with people every day that are in a society where they feel like they've been repressed, whether it's because of economic issues, education issues. Basically, they're down and out. And I talk to them and I treat them like human beings. And that's one of the things that I take pride in. Everyone I come across is a human being to me. It doesn't matter what color skin they are. Like I said, I've never had any excessive force complaints against me. I'm extremely professional. And I'd like to think that I do make a difference in my community.
So those people that would want to have the dialogue, you'd be open to having
I've talked to several people here and tried to explain how me as a police officer is hurt by all of this. I'm not happy that Mr. Grant died on that platform that day. He didn't deserve to die that day. But the problem is that this wasn't a race thing. This was a lack of training. This was a situation that had every ingredient for chaos to go on.
So it wasn't really personal to him.
No.
Something about
Mr. Messerly is for sure not a racist. And I know that because one of my closest friends is extremely close friends with him. And you know what? It just hurts because nobody knows what kind of person he is. They only see him as a murderer.
So you've really tried to reach out here. You're out here in the
I'm out here talking to
people.
people. And I'm trying to there's a guy over there with all cops are killers, and I tried to have a conversation with him and he refused to talk to me because he doesn't want to talk to me about and that's fine. He's got every right to, protest and have his beliefs, but I'm just here to show the other side.
This thing is happening right here is actually a way for people to express empathy to each other.
I don't think there's going to be any business burned down here today.
There's actually a lot of dialogue going on.
There is.
I'm actually quite impressed with Richmond, and in terms of here, not Richmond, but.
And I'd be more than happy to talk to these people. But the thing is that we can't yell at each other like some of these people are. We're having the emotions are so high. That's what we got to take out of this.
Yeah, so the strategies people are using. Some of it, like the dialogue, works a lot better than yelling.
So I don't want to be seen as a bad person because of the profession that I chose that I'm very proud of. There are great officers in this serving the state of California and the nation in a whole. And it's sad incidents like this that bring people out to nitpick how we do our jobs. We have to make split-second decisions. We make decisions that affect people's lives. Very obvious in a situation like this, okay? This all came down to training, all right? A person was mistrained. He had not enough training. He had not enough experience with the item that he used. He went back to what there's a saying, you don't rise to the level of courage, you sink to your level of training. What Head Officer Meserly always trained with, every few months they do their qualification with their firearm. He trained with that. He thought he was going for a taser, he wound up grabbing.
See the world through other people's eyes. Now, empathy is a quality of character that can change the world.